This morning, we welcome Tosin Adarabioyo to Chelsea Football Club. Today, my friends, we have some more big stories to get through. Sorry I've been away these past 2 days. I've had a lot of things to handle in my life. It's my sister's wedding. If you guys saw my community page coming up very soon. So, yeah, my priority had to go away from the channel to run a few errands. But I'm back now. I want to make videos, and today there will be a double upload and hopefully a live stream too. So stay tuned on BlueLionsTV. Hope you guys enjoy. Hit that like button if you guys are happy to see me again. And let's tackle today's latest reports. So let's start with this morning's big story as Tosin Adarabioyo finally becomes a Chelsea player. And finally, I pronounced his name right. And I apologize to everyone, all my Niger boys, for just hurting your ears these past few weeks. I'm sorry, but today I got it right. The club have got it right as Tosin has agreed a 4-year deal to sign for us, which surprises us because most times players are signing, they're signing 7 years or longer. But naturally, with him being on a free agent, with him being 27 years old, we won't give him a 7-year deal. And naturally, with 4 years, he has that security he needs, a big contract, and if he impresses, obviously we'll negotiate extensions in this deal. But as we know, we beat out competition from many Premier League clubs to get this deal wrapped up. United came in with an 11th hour bid to prize him from our hands, but Tosin had already agreed to become our player. Other clubs even offered higher wages, but Tosin said no because we match his ambitions. So that's good to hear. And I guess we should hear the first words from Tosin Adarabioyo as he says, "Chelsea is a huge club and this is a full circle moment for me. I was born 3 miles away from Stamford Bridge, St. Mary's Hospital, and I made my professional debut there, obviously when we played against them in the FA Cup. I remember that game. I'm very excited and looking forward to helping push the club in the direction we want to go. I'm looking forward to starting work with Enzo Maresca, and I'm sure the boys are too. It's going to be exciting. We're going to play good football and win a lot of games." So Tosin sees himself as one of the leading centre-backs in the Premier League. He's been able to grow to become a man right now. And I like players that have confidence in their game, as you should have if you're stepping up to the highest levels. But for Tosin, he was there with Man City. He won't feel any type of way signing for us. And it'll be very interesting to see how he does and if he can make himself become one of the leading centre-backs at the club. I feel like if you're Tosin Adarabioyo, you're thinking to yourself, we have talents here. Fofana, Cole, Badiashile, whatever. But I trust my game. I trust my instincts. And listen, you guys know my thoughts and opinions on this. When you have Trevor Chalobah, what is the point of making this move? But as I've said, from a business point of view, you're basically signing a Trevor Chalobah player on a free, whilst making maybe 20 to 25 million for the original version you have. So I understand the flip. But that doesn't necessarily mean that, okay, Tosin, I'm against you. I don't rate you. You guys know I'm not dumb like that. I don't do that stuff, and I like to always be pleasantly surprised. So I want to see if Tosin is going to make himself become that centre-back for us. Let's see how things go. But from his perspective, he will definitely feel like I have it in me to become that leading centre-back, to become Maresca's first choice. And even though we have talents around us, I trust my game. One thing he will definitely add to this team though is that sense of leadership. That's what I'm going to look to him towards, because as he said, being a leader comes naturally to myself. It's something that is required of a centre-half. It's an important responsibility. I want to come here and push the boys as much as we can. So the fact that he's already seeing himself as one of the senior figures, I'm not opposed to having more seniority within this squad, because I think all of us came to that realization that maybe we've gone too far down the youth approach where there isn't enough balance of having that mixture of seniority in between to just help the players, to push them and to maintain those standards in the hierarchy. So let's see how things go. But I'm sure that he'll be a player that gets along really well with players that he already knows, like Palmer, like Ben, like Raheem Sterling, and a host of other players, and the fact that he knows the manager, and obviously he's a London boy as well too, and I'm sure he already knows a lot of the squad too. So I think he'll be a seamless transition in terms of just like integrating himself in our squad. My friends, if you guys want to get a deeper understanding behind Tosin's game, then make sure you watch my reaction analysis video breaking that down. That's going to be in the card above. And I guess on that note, all we can say now is welcome to Chelsea Football Club, Tosin Adarabioyo, and let's see how well he does for us this season. Now for the next story, let's discuss some big news surrounding confirmation around profit and sustainability rules, because we've got our answers, and as confirmed by David Ornstein last night, Premier League clubs have failed in closing a loophole which allows clubs to use one-off profits from sales of club-owned assets like training grounds, hotels, car parks, whatever, into their profit and sustainability rule submissions. Now, as we knew a few months back, this rule was set to always go down to a vote, and we finally have the answers. Only 11 out of 20 clubs voted against closing this loophole, which means that the vote lost out because you need 2/3 majority for any new rule changes to be enforced. Now, back in 2021, EPL clubs, of course the lower division clubs, they closed this loophole down, but we did not react in time because it really wasn't a thing. But in the meantime, the reason why this rule was not enforced was because the definitions behind what exactly constitutes as an asset in terms of what can be used towards profit and sustainability rules and what can't be used, many thought the wording of this potential ban was just too wide. As the article says, it did not clearly distinguish between the types of non-football revenues that clubs believe they should be encouraged to exploit, such as, of course, hotels, houses, indoor arenas, etc, etc. So that was never going to work. So as we've kind of known now for the past few months, we don't have to sell players to abide by profits and sustainability rules before the 30th of June. I think that should have been clear already, because there's a few things that made this obvious. Number one, we've known for a while that we deferred the transfer of Mason Mount to this summer. Now, I can't remember if this is just the add-on fee for that Mason Mount transfer or if it's the full entirety of that deal that was deferred to this summer. We can't forget that Lewis Hall, of course, is set to bring in 28 million as he is set to permanently sign for Newcastle. We cannot also forget that we also have many pre-existing clauses in deals in which we sold players which got activated over the season, and that brings in another 11 to 14 million. And of course, the big one being we sold club-owned assets like our hotels and car parks to our sister companies, which made sure that we wouldn't be punished by profits and sustainability rules. So we're good. In terms of player sales, as I'm really stressing, you guys, let's not forget this summer, they are important in terms of how big we can spend this summer. The more we can sell, the more ambitious we can be this summer. And I think that's why maybe with certain links to players that might not be exciting you, as the months go on, the ambition will show, it will get better, and you'll see a high quality player that we're looking to get. So with the potential sales that you're probably guaranteed to get from players like Broja, Lukaku, Marcin, Kepa, Hutchinson, you know, this is a mixture of high earning players who have massive wages, you know, academy grads that are bringing in pure profit, and of course, players that you've signed recently that you can now flip exponential amounts. We can bring in a lot of money this summer, similar to last summer, and we can spend a lot on signing some top players. So let's see how things go down. So I guess this is great accounting, great businessmanship from our ownership, because they have a habit of finding loopholes that help us in the future. But we cannot forget, every time we take advantage of opportunities like this, it means that these doors get shut. So we won't have like infinite ways to find loopholes to save us if we don't start performing on the field now, if we don't get Champions League football, if we don't start finding success, because that is the whole point of all this investment, right? Is to find success on the field. And if we don't do that, things will look rough for us, because let's not forget, we still don't even have things like proper sponsorship secured. We failed in a lot of attempts. And this is probably the final summer you can sell academy grads for like big money. If we failed again this season, who do we have to turn to sell to allow us to reinvest back in the team? So we can't get too gassed or carried away, because these are also realities we have to make sure never come into existence. So that is one of the big stories out the way. Share your thoughts and opinions. We have two more stories, and this next report is a very interesting one as it comes from Liquid, and it involves our former academy goalkeeper Marcin Bulka, as reports in France state that we are interested in signing our former goalkeeper. Now, if you guys follow Ligue 1, which I'm sure a lot of you guys do, Bulka had a magnificent season at Nice, where his stock rose to exponential levels. He's seen as one of the next great goalkeepers of his generation who's set to be playing for one of the super clubs. He kept clean sheets for fun, and he's an all-round dominant style goalkeeper. Incredible with his claims, incredible shot stopping, incredible from penalty saves. He can play out from the back too, with short passes, and his long passes are accurate, and he can find his teammates up the field. It's impressive because at 24 years old, this was Bulka's first proper season as a professional, and he played a massive key part in the reason behind why Nice had one of the best defensive records in Liga last season, and I think the 4th best across Europe. At the moment, Bulka is looking for a move now because he wants to quadruple his 55,000 euros a month salary to around 200,000, which is around, I think, like 50k a week, which isn't too bad. And knowing the fact that we have not given up on looking at goalkeepers, yes, Maresca might have said Sanchez is currently his number 1, but as I've said, I think he wants more time to assess what he has first, and there's a reason why reports around goalkeepers aren't going anywhere anytime soon, because that's probably one of the easiest positions to strengthen in this summer, and shouldn't take us that long to negotiate to bring someone in. So there's still italics around the long-term future of Robert Sanchez. Let's watch the space, but in someone like Bulka, someone that has homegrown status in the Premier League, which is key, someone that knows the club, and someone I feel is the all-round goalkeeper that I think we should target. I like sweeper keepers, but I think sometimes if you're just going to fully go down the sweeper keeper route, they can come with weaknesses. Like maybe they're weak aerially, maybe they're weak with their claims, you know, maybe they aren't as great when it comes to anything physical. And most times I've seen keepers struggle at my football club historically has been when they don't have any physicality, when they are weak, you know, because they lack that confidence then and they make a lot of mistakes. And I'm looking at examples like Kepa. So I think Bulka is definitely a great talent to look towards. He has some really phenomenal stats too when you look at his FBref values. For example, things like, you know, goals against, things like his post shots expected goals minus his goals allowed. Post shots reflect the quality of a shot, and when you minus goals allowed against this stat, it basically indicates that this keeper is preventing more goals than expected based on the quality of shots faced, which means the higher the percentile stat is, the more likely he is at preventing goals. And Bulka has a really good score. Yes, he wasn't really tested outside his goalkeeping box as often, but equally, if we're going to have a great settled defense, I think that's an aspect in this game that I think Bulka already has after being from our academy, and I think he could be a smart buy if that's someone we do turn to. And for the final quick story, we discussed the future surrounding Romelu Lukaku. As we know, we are only selling him for his full release clause of £37 million. So goodbye Milan with your stupid loan attempts. No more Serie A, I'm kind of done with them. But interestingly, or expectedly, Lukaku came out recently in an interview talking about the potential of Saudi football. As he said, Saudi Arabia wouldn't stop me. The level will only increase to a much higher level than many people think. More and more football players will tend to play there, also because of how the fans there experience football. The infrastructure still needs to be improved, but all major European top clubs, Saudi Arabia is coming. You already see that in boxing, golf, and Formula 1. So I think expectedly, Lukaku was never going to close the door to Saudi Arabia. The reason why he rejected Al Hilal last summer was because he has ambitions, of course, to play at the Euros for Belgium, and he wants to rectify his really poor World Cup on his own admission, and sees this summer's Euros as that opportunity to do so. So naturally, with him being on 340,000 a week, we keep forgetting he is the highest earning wage player in our club's history. The fact that we are consistently subsidizing his loans, I think to the value of around like 140k a week, that is absolute madness, because on 340,000 a week, I think that's around like 17 or 18 million a year. So getting money for him, plus him off the wage bills, gives us even more spending power, and of course saves us so much in the long term. So I wouldn't be surprised if Lukaku goes there if Napoli don't come in big to try and sign him. So I'm feeling quite optimistic, and that, my friends, is today's reports. I'll see you guys soon with another video. Thank you for watching, and cool.